Villains. What would superheroes be without their villains? Especially this man right here. Anyway, here are the 10 greatest Spider-Man villains of all time. Coming in at number 10, we have Carnage. Making his first full appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 361. Cletus Cassidy is a convicted serial killer that happens to share the same cell as Eddie Brock. The black Venom symbiote then sort of creates a spawn in silence. A red and black spawn that becomes the Carnage symbiote. The reason as to why he's on this list is mainly because of how scary he is. Thinking that the world is weird and just stuck, and the only way to freedom is by killing. Combined with him being stronger and faster than Spider-Man, even forcing him to team up with Venom to defeat Carnage. I remember him from that TV show in the 90s where he was teaming up with the Venom to help the super evil guy Dormammu. His laugh was pretty weird. Coming in at number 9, we have the Jackal, making his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 129. Now you're asking, who the hell is the Jackal? Well, he was a professor at Empire State University that sort of fell in love with Gwen Stacy. Red flags, dude, red flags. Professor falling in love with much younger students. He became jealous of Peter Parker and just insane to the point where he created his alter ego, the Jackal. He blamed Spider-Man for Gwen's death and just swore to seek revenge. So he kept hiring different people to kill Spider-Man. That's until they confronted each other and Spider-Man just ended up winning, of course. But yeah, I forgot to mention that he was a scientist in genetics and biochemistry. And he used this knowledge to create clones of different people. One of them being the popular Ben Reilly, who becomes the Scarlet Spider. Yeah. Coming in at number 8, we have the Vulture. Adrian Toomes made his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 2. An engineer that got screwed over by his business partner. So he developed some armor that he uses to become a criminal. Pretty simple origin story, man. But the reason that is on this list is that I remember him always making appearances in the early days as Spider-Man. Constantly fighting Spider-Man and sometimes getting the best of him. I remember them fighting in the snow once and Peter just got dropped on top of a building. After that, he was just stumbling around and revealing his secret identity to everyone. Coming in at number 7, we have the Kingpin, making his first appearance in Spider-Man issue 50. And just like the Vulture, he's someone that made a ton of appearances back in the day. A crime lord that wanted to rule the crime world in New York. Anyway, the reason that is on this list is because of his combination of intelligence and strength. He's someone that's able to rule the crime world in New York. And at the same time, he got the strength to go up against Spider-Man. Some noteworthy issues is The Amazing Spider-Man issue 195 to 200. You had Mysterio tricking Peter that Aunt May had died. His girlfriend left him. And on top of that, he was fighting Kingpin to the death. Speaking of Mysterio, we have him coming in at number 6, making his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 13. What makes him so great is that he isn't your typical super strong villain. Instead, he uses highly advanced technology to create illusions and just confuse the wall crawler. One time he used illusions to trick Spider-Man into thinking he was a super small guy. And like I said, he tricked Spider-Man into thinking that Aunt May had died. And also that he was drowning in an empty pool. He was an awesome special effects person that realized that his job just wasn't taking him anywhere. A nice depression, dude. So he decided to become a criminal instead. Coming in at number 5, we have Kraven the Hunter, making his first appearance in Spider-Man issue 15 back in 1964. Now you're saying, how can you put a guy like Kraven on this list? Like, there's so many different... Shut up. This is my personal list, dude, and personal opinion. And I just love Kraven, especially in this new epic Spider-Man 2 game. Love him for the fact that he's so unique. The best hunter on the planet who seeks a new challenge. The challenge of capturing and killing Spider-Man. He's not motivated to have a power or a lot of money, but instead he seeks the thrill of the hunt. Of course, Spider-Man defeats him multiple times, but Kraven succeeded in capturing Spider-Man once. He actually sedated him and buried him underground for multiple weeks. He was just buried alive, quote unquote killed by Kraven. When Peter woke up, he was completely destroyed mentally. But as soon as he woke up, he had to capture this guy called Vermin, a rat man that forced him to crawl around in tight spaces in the sewers, just giving him PTSD. In the end of that story, Kraven just ends up blasting himself and saying that he completed the hunt. Coming in at number 4, we have the Hobgoblin, making his first appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man issue 238, having quote unquote multiple identities, the main one being Roderick Kingsley. Similar to the Green Goblin, he's someone that wants to expand his empire and just rule the criminal underworld, doing this by having Green Goblin-like equipment and strategically planning out every move. Anyway, the reason as to why he's on this list is because of the personal torture he put Spider-Man through, transforming Betty Brown's abusive husband Ned Leeds into the Hobgoblin and just setting him up for failure. Coming in at number 3, we have Eddie Brock, or Venom I should say, making his first appearance in Spider-Man issue 300. I think, maybe 299, I don't know. Anyway, everyone pretty much knows the origins of this guy right here, but basically he hates Peter Parker. Then he just bonds with the symbiote, who also hates Peter. Then they just dedicate their lives towards killing Peter. What I find interesting about Venom is that he's not your typical villain that's trying to get rich or get a lot of power. He doesn't want to kill innocent people or anything like that. He's even saved a lot of innocent people, especially innocent babies. Instead, he only wants to kill Spider-Man. Some popular Venom stories are when he kidnapped Peter to a deserted island, or when he teamed up with Peter to try to defeat Carnage. Coming in at number 2, we have the Green Goblin, making his first appearance in Spider-Man issue 14. Now you're saying, hey, how can you put Spider-Man's most famous villain at the second spot? Well, you know, because it's my list. Don't get me wrong, I sort of love Green Goblin. Or I don't like the guy personally because, you know, he's pretty evil. But Norman Osborn was a brilliant scientist that ended up in a scientific accident. An accident that gave him superhuman strength that sort of exceeds Spider-Man, but at the same time making him insane. Insane to the point where he's dragging Spider-Man across New York. And even killing his love interest Gwen Stacy. And being really the only villain that Spider-Man really hated and wanted to kill. And he got his wish true. Coming in at number 1, we have Doc Ock, making his first appearance in Spider-Man issue 3 back in 1963. A scientist that ends up in an accident, sort of fusing his 4 scary arms to his body. The reason I have him at number 1 is that he's made so many appearances over the years, combined with his goals being driven by science. Of course, he wants to have a lot of money and power, but he does it by stealing and creating technological equipment. Another reason as to why he's top of my personal list right here is because of the leadership role he's had over the years, especially when creating the Sinister Six, as well as him being the villain that sort of quote-unquote ended up killing Spider-Man in the final issue of the Amazing Spider-Man comics, completely switching bodies with him. Anyway guys, that's the greatest list of all time, no debate there.